Okay, got it.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Rosanna Fui, and we have a special guest today, Ken, this very amazing guy that I met a while ago. He'll tell you a little bit about himself, but he does a lot of amazing things and shoot a lot of great photos and films. You should follow him. Later at the end, he'll tell you his Instagram so you can follow him. He has a lot of following, by the way. He's famous. So, Ken, can you introduce yourself and share what you do?
My name is Ken, and I am a lifelong New Yorker, and I'm a filmmaker and photographer, primarily in car videos, restaurant videos, dance videos, and anything that's action movement related.
That's amazing. What part of your background or identity do you feel has shaped you the most?
I feel like the American culture and Western media has shaped me the most. That's primarily my, influence growing up and seeing Hollywood and all that. That's definitely influenced my creativity and influenced, how I see movies and how I see my visual language. And then secondarily, it's my Chinese American upbringing and culture.
Were you always this enthusiastic and talkative in your life, or is there like a time where you're like, okay, I need to be more outgoing?
I think that after junior high school, I became more gregarious. I became more uh searching for my vibe crew. I was bullied in junior high school and in elementary school, so I was very reticent and quiet back then. But I made a change uh in high school because I realized that I wanted to make the most of my high school. I didn't go to a great high school. I went to one of the worst high schools. And so I had to make the best out of nothing.
Well, thank you for being so strong. Same. You know,
Mm,
we got bullied when we were younger, so it's amazing how you're able to rise above those people who talk down on you and bullied you.
mm.
So thanks for being strong and
Yes.
resilience.
Yes.
So how do you feel being Asian in 2025 compared to the past decade?
Hmm. I actually don't really know how to answer it. I feel like being Asian right now, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is food. Asian food is trending,
Mhm.
and maybe it's exotic. Maybe it's trending because like cheap eats in Chinatown, Flushing. That's kind of what comes to mind, is that being Asian is being appreciated, having other cultures appreciate your food. That is primarily instinctively what I think of. In terms of Asian identity, I feel like a couple of years ago, Asian identity was tied to Hollywood, Crazy Rich Asians, and then you had a wave of Asian American actors and filmmakers, and there's actually an Asian writer on Saturday Night Live, and then we had a female Asian American uh, a director who made past lives, right? So I feel like that, in terms of that, I feel like we had a resurgence, or we had a coming of age. But compared to pre-COVID, um, I think we being Asian American was uh it had a different meaning. I don't think it was put onto the map as much as it is now. I don't think it is, like in vogue as it is being Asian American now. I feel like now you can use it as a badge of distinction, a badge of honor. Like it's a privilege to be Asian, t-shirts
Mhm.
like that, messages like that. So I think it's a lot more, um, uh, being Asian American, being Chinese American, you have a sense of resonance. You have a sense of digital community, and you also, after COVID, there's a sense of your belonging to the Chinatown community, right? Whenever I go to patronize any of the restaurants in Chinatown, I feel like I'm helping the business. So there's a sense of fostering community that I didn't feel in the past.
That's amazing. And do you ever feel guilty pursuing your own path because you're pursuing a very unique path because you know Asian family parents they're always like, you know, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer. Do you feel that you feel guilty that you're doing something out of the norm, which I
Nah,
think is very unique, very unique.
thank
You
you.
inspire me for doing that. It takes a
Thank
lot.
you.
Mhm.
Uh, I used to feel guilty out of high school and college. I felt a little bit guilty because in college I had originally wanted to be a social worker. I had wanted to go get my MSW. Those days are over. But I had originally wanted to help, disempowered people, and change their lives. But I stopped wanting to do that, and instead I wanted to do something creative. I wanted to do something fun. But I knew that early on in high school, I had picked up a camera, and I knew that I wanted to make movies. So I knew in high school at some point I would have to betray my parents, and I had to tell my parents that I wouldn't become an accountant, uh, a nurse, or a computer engineer, which I think that was the route that I was heading towards in high school, was doing something in computers. So I think right now, ever since graduating college, I think I slowly lost the sense of guilt, and I no longer feel that sense of guilt anymore. I feel like I have full autonomy of what I want to do, and thanks to Instagram and YouTube and Wong Fu Productions, right? Asian American filmmakers, thanks to all the Asian American creative, people, they really helped me muster up my confidence to follow my own path.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually did that because you're super creative and people who see what you do, like me, is inspired. I don't tell you all the time, but I see it. I'm like, wow, how does he do that? How is he running after cars? I don't. I actually one day I want to watch in person to see how you do that because I'm like, how did he film that? That's so interesting and unique. So thank you for staying true to yourself and
Yes.
doing what you want in life and the passion because sometimes we think about our family, but are we truly happy of,
Mm.
you know, what we do in life? How do you personally balance honoring family obligation while staying true to yourself, being Asian?
Hmm. Well, I live with my folks, so I still see them, every every day. So I think that's really the easiest way to give back to my parents, or to show appreciation for my parents. I see them every day. So uh, yeah, that's really the most straightforward way to be with I have a small family here in New York City, a tiny family. So my mom and dad, I see them every day. So I think that's like the easiest way for me to show love and give back to my parents.
That Asian parents are actually very simple. I'm happy to hear that you live with them because every Asian parents want their children to be with them.
Mm.
So just having you there, I'm sure they're very happy with that. What advice would you give to the younger Asians today who feel torn between family expectations and their own dreams?
Mm. I love the word balance. I think there can be a balance,
Mhm.
I think there could be a balance. I mean, this is a pretty complex question, deserving a complex answer. And I think uh, balance can come in the form of, you can work corporate or work, yeah, you could work corporate, work for somebody else for 5, 10 years. You could save up and then do acting, film, photography. You could open your own cafe, whatever. So you can have these waves. You can work for 5 years, travel for 2 years, uh, do your own thing for 5 years, and then go back to corporate. Even right now, I think I want to go back to corporate for 2, 3 years, just to smoke the corporation out of money. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with using a corporation for savings, and then you can use that savings to pursue your dream for 5 years, as long as you could explain your resume gap. you know, that's fine. And I think the key word here is balance. Like, can you, everyone is so different, right? uh, um, can you work a part-time corporate job and then part-time do photography? I think that's a question you should ask yourself, right? Can I be a barista and then the other on the weekends I go and do acting? Or I mean, there are plenty of other creative things. So I would tell the younger generation that it's not just photography, filmmaking. There are other ways to be creative. And like front end web design is creative. UX UI design is creative. So I think one thing is you should expand your definition of what creative is. I think you should use ChatGPT and ask what are creative jobs that I can get that's not tied to a big corporation, right? I think that's first thing you should ask. The second thing you should ask is, um, sh should I start my own business? And my advice is start your own business in the background. And at the same time work the corporate job. You don't need to quit the corporate job and then do your own business. You don't need to do that. You don't need, again, the key word is balance. You don't need to like throw the baby out with the bathwater, whatever that means. You don't need to start from ground zero. You don't need to like, I'm going to quit everything, and then you can, but I don't suggest you quit everything all of a sudden and go pursue your dreams. You can, but I think that it's good to balance your way there and do baby steps. And then because that way you can kind of hedge the risk. You don't need to just quit completely. So I think that's really my advice to the younger generation is that you have a lot of options out there. But the issue is that you're going to have a sense of myopia. You're going to have a sense of just closed mindedness because your Instagram algorithms is causing you to feel like you can only do photography, videography. There's plenty of creative jobs out there. You just need to figure out what is creative. I mean, hell, you can still work for a corporation. That does working for a corporation doesn't mean that you don't do anything creative. I think the last thing I want to add is uh, don't it's not necessary to monetize your passion. This is very important because you might feel misled. You might feel uh like like you should monetize your passion. Like you should make money from DJing. You should make money from making tea. You should make money from knitting. That's not the case at all. You have to be careful. Sometimes you don't need to monetize your passion. I'll leave it at there.
That's a great example because people think you have to make money. But sometimes when you just do what you're passionate about, that's when the money just somehow
Mhm.
comes. You have
Yes,
to provide some free pictures. I'm sure you've done that in
yes,
before
yes,
you
yes,
became big, right? I'm
yes.
sure you had to like, oh, let me take pictures. I think in the beginning you were doing that,
I I
right?
I, I was, yes.
Yeah. And look where you are now.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you're successful. So thanks for doing what you love.
Yeah.
What does living authentically mean to you in 2025?
Living authentically means balance. I think a few years ago, I would tell you that living authentically means forgetting about what other people say about me. But now I feel like you can balance that because it's important to take responsibility for what you do. So I take full responsibility for everything that I say and I do. And that also means that I have to give a crap about how other people perceive me because you have to be respect I have to be respectful, courteous, and I have to be a decent human being. So it's not fair for me to say, forget about what other people think about you. Don't listen to what other people think. That's not the advice I want to give because if you think that way, then you might become reckless. You might go to the other end of the spectrum and you might just be very aggressive with how you go about your day or how you uh, get a sales, sell something, or how you work. If you live your life without caring about how other people think about you, it can easily become reckless. It can easily become um, lawless, reckless. So I think it's important to balance it and realize that living authentically means that you have to be, you have to follow the golden rule, you know? And so if you don't want people to take a picture of you in public, then don't take a picture of other people in public, right? If you don't want people to push you without saying excuse me in public, then you shouldn't push other people without saying excuse me, you know? So I feel like the golden rule is super important. That to me is living authentically, is being morally um yeah, uh morally aware is really important in 2025. I think it's important to be a decent human being. I think it's very easy to forget that living in New York City. And sometimes I feel like it's an excuse living in New York City and pushing past people in the morning. Sometimes I feel like it's an excuse for me to shove people and push people in the subway and just act reckless, but it's not an excuse to act this way because we all have to be a decent human being. I think that living authentically means serving, other people, and you don't need to serve as a doctor, as a lawyer, as an accountant, as a judge. You don't need to serve in that sense. You can serve every single day by being kind, and I think that that's important in this day and age. Living authentically means um, you have to balance between being who you are and also being aware of other people and being respectful and courteous to other people. Like, yes, you can have a balance of telling another person in public and speaking up, against racial remarks. You can do that, yes. But at the same time, you can have courtesy and you can respectfully stand up for the victim, and you can speak up against this injustice, and you can face the aggressor. But you can balance it. You don't need to be a radical kind of person and start attacking the aggressor. I think it's important to just be balanced, right? Just maybe your personality is you are very impetuous and you are very impulsive, right? Maybe that's who you are. But I challenge you to balance it with being respectful and courteous, because you can balance it, right? I think it's not fair to just say, I'm going to be myself and I don't give an F about what other people think about me. I don't think that's fair, because if everybody acted this way, um, there would be no courtesy, there would be no respect, and it just wouldn't be. I mean, I think it would be chaos. So I think living authentically means you have to balance between who you see yourself as and also how other people, how you want to be perceived to other people.
That's a very good answer, the balance word. I'm going to start using that because sometimes I'm like, how do I describe authentic, right? You try to say, I want to be true to myself, but the balance is important to be respectful as well. But you also have boundaries, I'm sure.
Yes.
And like you said, if someone, try to bully you out right now, I'm sure you would say something back now, but you just stay true to yourself. And balance is a great word. Thank you for that. So where can people find your work or follow your journey?
My Instagram is
What's it called?
only only Ken. Everything is there.
So how do you spell that?
Only
Mhm.
Ken twice. Only Ken.
What made you decide to create that, I guess that word, only can? How do you discover that or decided that name?
So before this name, I had Ken Raining, and because I loved the rain,
Oh, good to know.
yeah. But I didn't think that that was a very catchy name. It wasn't. It
Mhm.
wasn't catchy. People thought my last name was Raining. So I
I would
changed it
have too.
to, yeah. So I changed it to only Ken, because I thought about OnlyFans, honestly. So I thought, what about only Ken is taken. So there's only Ken available. So I thought about OnlyFans. I thought about something very, very catchy, something very, very clickbaity. And that's how I came upon only Ken.
Oh, that's very unique. I was like, how do you discover that? That's very unique and catchy. If you had one sentence to leave your listener with about identity and success, what would it be?
Hmm. I don't know if one sentence. I don't know if I can
I
give
mean,
one.
you can have a long
Yeah,
sentence or a paragraph
yeah.
or however you want to say it.
Wait, ask me the question again, please.
So if you had one sentence or more than one sentence to leave your listeners with about identity and success, what would it be?
Ah, so your success is going to be dependent on where you are in your life right now. You could be having a midlife crisis. You can be sitting on the toilet. You could be unemployed. You could be employed, but needing a vacation. So I think the definition of success is going to be dependent on where you are right now, next week, next month, next year. It's going to be changing over time. So I think it's important for you to realize that success is not a checkpoint once. It's not a one-time checkpoint. You don't become successful and then you retire, or and then you go on vacation, or and then you start finding a partner. Success is not a singular goalpost. It's not a single check. It's not a single part of the race. Um, it's only one portion of your entire life. So I think it's important to uh, find success in small everyday moments. I think it's important to find success and be grateful for being successful in the micro moments, because I think it's very easy to get distracted by self-help gurus, advertisements, Ty Lopez. I don't know if that's on your listeners algorithm. I think it's easy to get distracted by being successful overnight. So I think don't get distracted by how other people see success. You have to find success in your everyday micro moments, you know? And that's about it. I don't think success should be over branded, over emphasized, I think it's just something that you have to feel confident in yourself. And and I think the last thing I want to say is your self-worth should never be directly tied to your success. So, and vice versa. Your success should never be directly linked to your self-worth, because there are days when you'll feel unsuccessful, less successful. But that doesn't mean that you as a soul, as a spirit, as a person, that doesn't mean that you are worthless. That doesn't mean that you're worth less. Doesn't mean that you're flawed. So I want to, leave your listeners with this, which is your sense of self-worth is unblemished. It is indestructible. Your sense of self-worth is enough, right? Right now, you are enough as you are right now. You don't need more. And so your success and your definition of success should never should never influence your self-worth, and your self-worth should never influence your success, right? I think it's very easy to accidentally make an association, but I don't want you guys to feel like if you're not successful then you're flawed or you have a mistake. I think that's really important, to have a moment where you step outside of yourself and you see yourself from a thousand foot above yourself, have an outside body experience, and see yourself objectively and realize that your self-worth has nothing to do with who you say you are and how you measure your success. They're not dependent. So if overnight your business crashed, or overnight God forbid, someone hacked into your accounts, that doesn't mean that now you are worth nothing. That doesn't mean that you're a loser. So I think it's important to remember that you are always worthy of love and worthy just right now the way you are, without anything added to who you are. You don't need to have a Gucci bag. You don't need to have $500,000 in your account, six diversified accounts. That doesn't matter. You are already worthy right now. So don't accidentally misassociate your self-worth with any kind of success, because success can fade. Success is not permanent. So it's important that I think everyone, even myself, has that reminder, which is when things are bad, that has nothing to do with you as as a spirit, as a soul, as a beautiful human being.
Wow, that was a hard touch, heartfelt actually. I think you should make your own motivational videos, by the way. I don't know if that's like the next thing you want to do, but I think you would be very good at that.
Maybe.
And we could talk about the spiritual meditation in the future on that.
Yes.
And you are absolutely correct that success is micro. Like you don't have to have like millions of followers. Just whatever you feel is successful. Anything. It could be something as simple as like, I don't know, going to the gym for 20 minutes.
Mhm.
You, as long as you feel successful, that's all that matters. You don't have to compare yourself.
That's right.
But you are successful, just like you know, and you're doing an amazing job. And thank you for your time on being here today. I know
Yes.
how busy you are.
Yeah.
You had to wake up at 4 a.m. to film for Fast and Furious. And everyone follow him. Only can on Instagram. He's a amazing film and photographer and amazing person. And we're grateful to have you here today and hope to have another video with you in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Rosanna. That was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. And I learned so much. And thank you for being a good human.
Yes, and likewise.
Yeah. We'll see you soon. Follow him. Only can. Not fan. Okay, guys? Only can.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.